I know many of you, but for some of you, I may be a new face, and so I'll introduce myself. My name is Father Arturo Merriman, and I am from Alpharetta, Georgia. And I spent a year here on what we call Pastoral Year 2 years ago. And so I thank you all for who you are, who you have been to me. Thank you, Father Tim, for having me here this morning. This is my second Sunday Mass, so it is very good to be with you all. And so that you have a little more hope, there are 4 other men ordained to the Archdiocese of Atlanta that hopefully you get to meet one day. And this Sunday we are given 3 beautiful readings, and I think they touch at the core of our humanity and at the core of many of the issues and questions that come up in our day-to-day lives here in 2024. But we go back to the beginning of our faith, really to the beginning of the creation of the world and the readings from Genesis. And it is very beautiful to just listen to the words that our father Adam speaks with God our Father. And very curious. It begins with a question, God asking Adam, "Where are you?" And why would anyone be hiding from God, right? What do we have to fear from our Maker, from our parents? Well, it depends on how much you trust them. And he tried to answer with a sheepish kind of like, I'm just, in the garden, just doing my job, doing my homework. But I have to be honest, I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid myself. And I think this is perhaps the root of all of our problems. Not to make every one of my homilies try to be a silver bullet, but this kind of gets to the core of everything in our lives. For the Lord espouses himself to his people, and this is part of the tradition of the church and the tradition of our forefathers, that God espoused himself to Israel, to the land, and blessed it with rain, with abundance, with security, with safety. And when that relationship was vulnerable, when it was open, when it was trusting, good things happened. But the first sin, we all know, original sin, the first sin was all about losing that trust, of losing that obedience to our Maker. And if we look at the word obedience, when we look at its old roots in Latin, it comes from obiticere. I think I said that right, Father Tim. And it means to listen. To be obedient is to listen. And so rather than simply being forced to do things as we oftentimes may feel as children or as spouses or as employees or in any area that you are, to be obedient means to listen for the good, the true, and the beautiful that is always coming to us from God. And so Adam clearly has stopped listening if he is going to hide from his Maker, from his God who loves him and always wants what's good for him. And so we're invited in this Mass to remember the times we have been afraid, because fear is a very easy way to recognize where we are doubting ourselves, where we are doubting others, and ultimately where we are doubting God. A friend of mine recently told me that the little fears that we have are little idols that we have bowed down to, that we have allowed to have power over us, right? So from, the greatest natural fear of death to the littlest fear of not being able to have a cup of coffee in the morning. These little fears can slowly in time rob us of our trust, of our joy, of our happiness with God. And one of the greatest areas of tension and of confusion can come with the fear of the spouses, the husband and the wife, right? Which initially comes from a place of joy, wonder, curiosity, of hope, finally one day of a family. And in that beautiful opposite, that complementarity, we find life, and life itself is created, just as Adam and Eve, or our mother and father, bore life and were given life by God. But when that relationship is struck with doubt or with anxiety or with manipulation, we come into basically sin. And in this sin, life begins to unravel, right? And we start to lose our purpose, our joy, our hope that is there for us. Most of you all have experienced, all of you have experienced it, because we all come from families, which is an amazing thing to recognize. All of us came from love. But in my short experience, my 1 week as a priest, I already know that marriage, spousal love, is something that cannot be achieved without Christ in the center. Because if he's not there, as Adam was trying to run away from him, if God is not there at the center, we will make idols of each other and we will be disappointed with each other. And so when a man and a woman come to be wed, even at these steps, it is Christ that is in the center of the vows. He is what holds them together. And so I invite you to bring Christ deeper into your relationship of husband and wife, deeper into your relationship as parent and child, deeper into my own relationship as a priest of the church, my bride, and to always remember that in that central anchor, we cannot go wrong. And we will go wrong without it. And that's why we come back. We come back to St. Clare's, we come back to prayer, and in that we learn what it is to be loved first, and then to love. And to love well, I'm going to propose this to you all. To love well is to love with chastity, chaste love. Some people think that only priests and nuns are chaste. That's completely missing the point. All of you are called to chaste love. And this means to love without any desire of using or manipulating. It is a way of receiving the other as a diamond, if you will, to take care, to cherish, to see the other person as a gift. And in this way, you're being chaste. It doesn't mean that you have to wear all these robes or something or like put a hoodie on. It just means that you're not using the other person. You want what's good for them. This is the definition of love, right? To have that chaste love. And to not be scared of our own selves as Adam begins to be afraid of himself. I was afraid because I was naked, and so I hid myself. In the same way, fear and doubt and mistrust will cause us to doubt our own selves, to doubt our own bodies, and to not give thanks for who we are, to try to change ourselves, to hide ourselves. And this is the opposite of chaste love. And so modesty, my friends, my brothers and sisters, is the way to love well, to not fear our bodies, but to see it as a gift, to see it as a gift to give to another person. And this is the Christian marriage. And that is all I want to tell you today. Just to chew on this chaste, beautiful love that is at the center of the world, the center of our biblical history, the center of humankind, the center of what makes us not the dominators of the world, but the stewards, to share this love with children, with brothers, with friends, but even with everything, to share this love, this reason we have been endowed with those who have less. Evangelizare paperibus misit me was the slogan of my seminary, which means to bring the good news to the poor. And who are the poor? But we ourselves, when we forget that we are loved by God, that we are embraced in His love, as in the garden. So let us not be poor, but rich, so that we can share that wealth that we find here in the body and blood with everyone, and even those who suffer most. May God bless you, and thank you for your love.